Good morning, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. However you're catching this on the live or the replay. It is Monday, June 14th. Monday, June 14th. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Let's see. Notification, I think, just went that I'm live. Yes. Hopefully my sound is on. Hopefully all that is working. Sitting here at my desk. I was a little late to work today. I was about an hour late to work. Long weekend. So I just got here about a half an hour ago. I got at my desk. Good morning to everybody who's tuning in. Let's see. I want to talk about what's going on here in Ellenville today. Ellenville Streets. I want to talk about our beer dinner tonight, which I'm going to put that menu up here very soon. Good morning, everybody tuning in. If you're tuning in live, by the way, drop a comment, hashtag live. If it's on the replay, hashtag replay. Can everybody hear me correctly? I got my microphone plugged in here. It seems to be working. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, just drop a comment. Give me a thumbs up or something that you can hear me. And let's see. A few viewers coming on. Happy Monday. Rainy Monday here in Ellenville. It rained overnight. Not raining right now, but it got a good amount of rain overnight. Looks like everything looks very, very saturated outside. So good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Holly. Good, you can hear me. Thank you, Holly. Appreciate that. Thumbs up from Tiffany. Thank you. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Jamie and I did. Restaurant was really, really busy. We were able to go see Justin play a little baseball. So it was really, really good. By the way, those are our new hats back there. Those are for sale. How do I point to it? Let's see. Maybe I should just go like that. Right there. Those are our new hats. Aroma Time Bistro hats. They're $30. They are made in America. They're made in America. They're $30. We've been selling them. Sold several of them this weekend. So it's got the Made in America flag back there. So very proudly made in America. About almost 4 to 5 times the price of Chinese hats. So imported hats. So we got these great American hats. They're $30. So we only make a couple bucks on them. But we felt it was important to buy American on those. So we probably try to buy American as much as possible. And we wish we had a great source for an American-made shirt, which we're still looking for. And once we find one, we'll probably switch over to that as well. That's a much tougher item to get, an American-made shirt like that. So for our logo. Good morning, everybody tuning in. Thank you very much. It is Monday the 14th. We have our beer dinner tonight, which is really awesome. We have some really great beers. But I want to talk about, so I went on yesterday on Facebook Live yesterday, and I talked about what's the Ellenville Streets, how, in a couple hours, the streets will be closing down, and there'll be tables outside, and, we'll be doing our cotton candy and popcorn machine and tables out in the streets, and make sure you park around the corner. And even when people called for reservations, I said, you need to park, come in this way, and gave them directions to come in that way, because the Ellenville Streets were supposed to be closed for driving, open for dining, because that's what we've been told. That's what we've been doing. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting here, and it usually closes. The streets usually close off an hour before we open, so it usually goes from 2 to 7, and 3 o'clock, I'm looking at the staff, and I go, the streets aren't closed. They're like, oh, yeah, they close at 4. I'm like, no, they always close an hour earlier on Sundays. And we're all confused because it's inconsistent, right? So, and I'm like, well, gee, the streets aren't closing today. So then I ask somebody in the know, and they're like, yeah, they were canceled on Sundays altogether. And I said, well, that's great, because I have staff here. Like, I brought in 2 extra people to work in the front. I brought in 2 extra people, so I guess the village has decided not to do the streets in Ellenville on Sundays at all anymore. And I was told poor attendance. It's really not poor attendance, it's poor promoting, is really what it comes down to. Because we have something really cool in the streets where we can make this a lot of fun and make this work. I've had a lot of great suggestions, or I've had suggestions, I don't know if they're great, but I've had suggestions about Sundays and make it a family day, get somebody out there doing balloons, get a magician, get something different than the jazz they were doing, because John Simon's been playing on the streets on Sundays, and great. John Simon's fantastic. But I think it should be a family day and promote kids coming down and do games out there and things like that. And everybody loved my idea, but there's really nobody to go to specifically in the village. The mayor's the one who's kind of spearheaded this and taking and it's like his project, his baby. So the restaurants and businesses really don't sit down and meet and talk and discuss and promote and put our resources together, our minds together, and try to raise money to do this. Because if we all did some community events that raised money, we could pay for musicians. The Shadowland was paying for musicians, but they're out of money at this point. I believe they're out of money. So from what I understand is I think it's even going to be canceled on Fridays. But again, there's zero communication to me as a restaurant owner, business owner here, and I just keep bringing staff in. This has happened all since it's opened. I just keep bringing staff in and wasting labor dollars because it's not open and it's not being communicated to us. So I really don't know where the streets are going this year. I know I spent $2,500 on tables and chairs to put out there. So if it doesn't happen this year, I'm going to be a little upset. I bought a popcorn machine for $300-$400. I bought a cotton candy machine for $300-$400. So I bought all these things. I invested over $3,000. Bought cornhole for out there. I almost built a portable bocce ball court. Almost built a portable bocce ball court on wheels, on casters that you could roll out there. It would be a small version of bocce ball, but I almost built a portable, small, mini version of a bocce ball court. I was getting ready to. I mean, we all know how expensive lumber is right now, so I thought that would be really fun to do out there. Cornhole, bocce, have the free popcorn. I wanted to really make this a big thing in the streets. Really wanted to make it a big thing. But some restaurants do not want to participate at all. Some restaurants are like, no, we're not doing a single thing. Other restaurants are like, yeah, we'll just go with the flow. We'll follow the flow. And then another restaurant was making the calls and closed it down one weekend, one day, without even telling anybody else, and made the call to the police or whatever, and confused everybody. And so we really didn't have a liaison at that point. And Barbara from Top Shelf is sort of our liaison, because we need a liaison to the village and to all the restaurants. And I suggested that it should not be a restaurant to be the liaison. It should be somebody another business owner without a restaurant. So Barbara kind of is the one who communicates on all this. But things just happen, and they don't tell anybody, and nothing really happens. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh boy, it's frustrating. And I'm sure it's frustrating for guests, as well as frustrating for us, especially for us bringing in. It's frustrating for my staff. You're bringing 2 extra people in, and you have to send 2 people home who could have been off all day on Sunday and enjoyed their Sunday instead of coming in for 2 hours, going through the motions of getting ready, and then saying, well, we don't really need you tonight anymore. Go enjoy whatever part of your Sunday you have left. So it's unfortunate, very unfortunate. I don't know what's going to change with Ellenville Streets. I foresee it at this rate. I kind of foresee it fizzling out altogether, just because the lack of communication, the lack of enthusement, the lack of finances, the lack of just just like a board or a committee sitting down and organizing things. Nothing's really been organized. And we started to try to do this in April, and we were basically given that week's notice from the village, from the mayor. We're opening up this next weekend, and Jamie and I are like, it's way too cold. Like April, it's still like 50 degrees out, 45 degrees out at night. Nobody's gonna be sitting out, and we had some duds of a night out there. And the police weren't sure: do we open it? Do we close it? Do we open it? Do we close it? What's going on? And it was really, really, really confusing. So myself and Gennaro from Gabby's were like, you got to wait till at least after Cinco de Mayo, because it's there's gonna be too many hit or miss. So they took a couple weeks off, and then we tried it again after Cinco de Mayo, and there was another cold night, and now we're into June 14th right now, and the weekend of the 12th and 13th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, and we were busy. The restaurant was busy. Our back garden is packed. For us, we don't need the streets at all. We have 18 tables in back. We have 2 tables in front, so we don't need Ellenville Streets. But we were doing it because we wanted to be part of a community. We wanted to be part of a community. We wanted to make something bigger and better for everybody in Ellenville, for everybody, for all the other restaurants and all the other businesses, which is why we wanted to put more attractions out front than tables, honestly. And I was going to literally pay somebody to sit out there and hand out free popcorn and cotton candy, and just to monitor the stuff like that. So we really we really wanted something bigger than just tables out front for Ellenville altogether. We wanted to, and we've been giving out free popcorn to people that aren't even eating on the streets, to kids going by and stuff like that. And good morning, everybody tuning in. Mary, Dave, Luann, Cheryl, Chris, Jennifer, of course, Tiffany, Holly, Melissa. Good morning, everybody. So we're just talking about what's going on with Ellenville Streets. If you're just tuning in, that's where they close the streets for driving and open it for dining and drinking. We did it very successfully last year. And last year was a different environment because last year you couldn't eat out at all. And all of a sudden, after 3 months, you're now allowed to eat in a restaurant, but outside, right? Outside dining. So everybody had like this 3-month cabin fever, wanting to go out. So I think last year was really a different environment to begin with. We've been able to go out to eat inside and outside at restaurants for a full year now, instead of being cabin fever for 3 months. So the streets were very, very successful last year, and I know the village wanted to really keep going forward. One of my suggestions from the very beginning of this, like other municipalities do, is give all the restaurants a space in the front of a parking spot in the front of each restaurant. Give them one spot, let them go out to build a platform, put more dining out there, let them run electricity to it, just like they do in New York City, just like they do in Rhinebeck, just like they do in Jamestown. We were in Jamestown last weekend, just like they do in all these other places. So then you wouldn't leave any other restaurant out, because what happens is only Canal Street on our block is closed. So you miss Smoke and Moe's, and you miss Sammy Brown's, and you miss the French Connection up there, the French Corner, Pascaline. You miss her little shop, her little cute little shop. So they kind of felt left out because they weren't on the block. And so there was a little bit of problems with that last year. My suggestion was just give everybody a space 7 days a week, put a concrete barricade out there, let them build a platform, let them do dining out there, let them build a little something, and just like all these other places. Then you'd have 7 days a week of what would be a beautiful main street with all these tables and chairs, with just one parking spot, compromised, instead of, because when you close the streets, you compromise the whole block for parking. You compromise the parking lot, which holds another 30, 40 cars. You compromise all of Canal Street, which is 30, 40 cars, or at least, up and down the street here, 30 cars. So you compromise a lot of parking spots. There's 5, 6 restaurants on our block. All you'd compromise is 6 spots. But I guess that didn't make enough sense for anybody to say, well, Marcus, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do that, like Rhinebeck or all these other villages that are doing it. So I don't know. I'm not in charge here. I'm just trying to make the place better. And sometimes we get some challenges from the government level on things like this, that they're stuck in their head on a certain way. And even last year, there was an issue with our liquor licenses. They weren't doing it correctly in the beginning. And I tried to speak up, and I got shut down. And the village was not protecting our liquor licenses properly at all. I mean, I was upset. And I'm like, you guys are not doing this right. I went to the mayor and said, you're not doing this right. This is the way we're doing it, and that's it. I was like, but this isn't legal. I was just on the phone call with Vince from the head of the Liquor Authority, explaining to the Ulster County Tourism Board, and there were all these people on there. He explained exactly what we need to do to make this work, how the law is now working. And he explained this in detail, and we're doing the total opposite here. And I was told by the mayor, nope, this is what we're doing. I'm like, but that's not legal. We're compromising our liquor license. They're not going to come and bust all of us. I'm like, it doesn't matter if they are or they're not. There's a way to do it legal that's very simple. No, it's going to take all this paperwork, and it's going to, it's too much of a process. It was too much of a process. I said it's a simple process. It's a very simple process. I was on the phone call. We were on the phone call too, and this is what I'm like. If you were on the phone call, you would have heard what I heard, hopefully. But when people are stuck in their ways of things, so there was no convincing them until we weren't doing it legally last year until August. Till August, we were not running the streets legally, and it's a shame because every single restaurant was jeopardizing their liquor license. Every single one of us could have gotten busted and yanked our liquor licenses or gotten fined $5,000-$10,000 because the village wanted to do it their way, which was the wrong way. And finally, I got a phone call from the powers to be the first Monday of August and said, you were right. We need to come down. You need to sign some paperwork and give us a drawing, and we're submitting the paperwork to to New York to New York's liquor authority. And this is after June and July. This is after 8 weeks of doing it illegally. And I'm like, come on, you got to do something. Finally, I got really upset. And I was like, I went to the mayor and I was like, if you guys think you're protecting our liquor license, you're not. You're not protecting us at all. You're not protecting us. If you had our back, we do it the right way. And I got really upset. And that's when I got the call on Monday. Okay, you were right. We have to do it this way. I know I'm right. I was on the phone call. I see what these other places are doing. I heard very distinctly what Vince, the head of the liquor authority, said. So this year, ironically, we're not told really when it's starting. And then the liquor authority, the village manager, or they tell us, yeah, we're opening the streets, next weekend, first weekend in April. I'm like, well, this is kind of early. And we weren't really here that week. I think we were traveling doing something, maybe on one of our wine tours or something. So we really couldn't participate. I didn't have all the stuff in. But now I'm on a shopping spree. New tables, new chairs, because I don't have enough new tables and chairs. I even bought a new tent out back so I can put more tables and chairs underneath. So I'm on the shopping spree and buying stuff, and we didn't get open right away. So I said to the mayor in a text message, I said, what's going on with our liquor licenses? Oh, yeah, the village manager will be by to take care of it. The village manager will be by to take care of it. This is on a Sunday. On Friday, I called the village manager and I said, Michael, what's going on with our liquor licenses for the streets? And he goes, oh, you're good to go. I'm like, oh, you took care of it. And so my exact words were to him, you took care of everything with the state liquor authority. He goes, no. I went and saw a couple restaurants and they said they were okay. I said, you went and talked to a couple restaurants and they said they were okay? The restaurant said they're okay? I said, if you come down to me, I'm okay. Like, what's the specific question you're asking? And he goes, everybody's okay. I'm like, okay, there's a liquor authority. Okay, he goes, what do you mean the liquor authority? And he used to have a license himself, I guess in High Falls or Stone Ridge or somewhere up there. And I said, Michael, you have to fill out something with the state liquor authority. He goes, I do? I go, Michael, I thought you were coming around. Jeff sent me a message saying you were coming around on Monday. He goes, I came around, but you weren't there. I said, I'm open at 5 o'clock. You call the number. I live here. I literally live in my restaurant. I'm here 24 hours a day. Like, I'm in my office at 6 a.m. Like, I'm here. Like, you pick up the phone and call me, and I'll open the front door for you. He goes, oh, but I spoke to the other guys on the street, and they said they were fine. I said, well, you need to make sure the liquor authority's fine. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, last year, this is what happened. And I reiterated the whole thing, and I'm like, in August, we had to fill out paperwork. We had to submit drawings. We had to go to the liquor authority and do it and all this kind of stuff. He goes, you did? And I said, yes. And this is why I messaged Jeff on Sunday or Friday, whatever day it was, to make sure we were all going to be covered legally again to do this. He goes, well, what do I do now? I go, well, you hang up with me and you call the liquor authority and you find out what you have to do so we can do this. This is something the village has to do now. And he goes, oh my gosh. He goes, I just I go, okay, Michael, here's what you do. You call the liquor authority. You say, this is what we did last year. We've already done this. Do we need to resubmit, or can we extend last year's permit? Because everything's already on file. They already have our drawings. They already have all the logistics. They already have all this. So do I need to resubmit, or can we extend? So he calls me back an hour later. He goes, you were a lifesaver. He goes, I spoke to Mike Smith up in the liquor authority. And he simply said, we've done it before. There's no new liquor licenses on the street. If there's new liquor license on the street, we'd have to, do more work. He goes, he'll simply basically extend last year's thing to this year, last year's permit. And he goes, you were a lifesaver, Marcus. Well, I could have avoided that on Monday if he would have come to see me like I thought he was going to see. So, right from the very beginning of Ellenville Streets, it's been very mishap, thrown together, no communication, not even really doing it the right way when it comes to protecting the restaurants' liability and our liquor licenses, and so it's just been very frustrating for me knowing the difference and seeing what other places are doing very successfully. Went to Jamestown, and restaurants have great spots in front of their restaurant. It looks great. They got these platforms built. They got these in New York City. They're doing it in New York City where traffic is congested. These restaurants are putting stuff out on the streets and building things and making it look great. So I don't know why we just have to do it. I mean, it's getting late in the game now because things are going back to normal. It's kind of late in the game to do things like that. But I mean, all spring long, if we had a great day in March or May or April, we could have been outside in the front there. People can meet him. We could have put heaters out there. on our platforms out there, and made it really like, oh wow, look what's happening in Ellenville. But of course, I guess that wasn't a good idea. So, Holly's saying, interesting how some government folks give themselves room to do things illegally. Yep, we'll bust you outside the lines. Yeah, yep. So that's what's going on with Ellenville Streets, folks. I don't know what's going to happen this year because there is no communication. There is really nobody in charge, and there's really no enthusiasm or ambition besides a couple of us. Barbara from Top Shelf is super excited about it. We were super excited about it. So I wouldn't have spent $3,000 on new tables, chairs, popcorn to give. I'm not even charging for popcorn. I'm just giving away popcorn. And I bought cornhole. I was getting ready to build a portable bocce ball court, a smaller one, a mini one, but still bocce ball is a lot of fun. So I was getting ready to do all these things, and I spent over $3,000. I bought 2 new tents out front, $3,000. And I did not need to spend. I could have taken that money and paid staff. I could have, paid a bill with that. I could have done a lot with that. I could have done a lot with $3,000. And I put it towards the streets because I thought, it's going to be a big year, and just the lack of enthusiasm and communication on the local government level here is, I feel, very, very, very unacceptable. They should have called all of us restaurants in, sat us down, formed a committee. Entertainment committee, do this, do that, and there's a lot of musicians that would be happy to play at a reduced rate. Some of them just want to get out, or raise money to pay musicians the full rate. Do some kind of fundraiser. Do a fun run. Do something. By the way, Jamie and I do Ellenville Run Like the Wind. We were the race directors of Ellenville Run Like the Wind for 5-6 years. The race is, wow, founded in 1983. 1983, so it's a 38-year-old race. It would have been this year. We didn't do it last year because of the pandemic, and we didn't do it this year. We could have done the race this year. We could have done an in-person race. No problem. We raised money for scholarships and food banks. And the race is a 38-year-old tradition, and it raises a good amount of money, decent amount of money. Jamie and I work our butts off for 3 months, 4 months. We get some volunteers. Debbie Briggs helps. We had some volunteers the day of, and there's a few volunteers that come in and help us throughout. And I've always asked for a committee to see where the money goes. I don't want to be personally responsible for distributing the money. It's our race. We're the directors of the race. But I don't want to say Marcus and Jamie raised $5,000, $10,000, and it's going towards, and they put it towards something. I'd like a committee, and I could never get a committee together to figure out. So Jamie and I put the money towards scholarships. We gave the money to food banks. We bought gift cards from Peters and showed up at Family of Ellenville on Christmas Eve, and they would give out $50 gift cards to people walking in the door on Christmas Eve. So we did things like that with the money, but I would have been easier to say I don't want my hands in the money. I think the money should go to a scholarship. I think the money should go here, and you guys decide on that. But as far as the race in general, for the thousands of dollars that we raised every year, not one community member has come up to me and says, what's happening with the race this year? Are you doing it? This race is needed. The money is needed. What you do is great. Not one single community member has come up to Jamie and I and asked us about it. So I guess a lot of them just really don't care, or they don't know about it enough, or they don't know enough to care. But not one. And we still gave money. We still gave money because we had money left over. And Jamie and I did an event here at the restaurant back in February. We did a fun run. Like 30, 40 people showed up. They gave $30, and we took this money and we put it towards scholarships to the school, Ellenville Run Like the Wind scholarship, because we figured, let's still give $1,000 or $2, whatever we gave. We figured that it was important to still give money to the scholarship, and without having the race, knowing we weren't doing the race, we just did a fun run. We threw together this one fun run. It was a wine run, the vintage run, and we had these runners, and we took money from that, which typically is a for-profit day for Jamie and I when we do that race. We took that money and put it towards the scholarships. So there can still be two awards for high school, graduating high school seniors. But not one community member has come up to me like, it's a shame the race isn't going on. We really need it. Can I do something? Can I help you? Are you guys doing the race? Are you guys even doing the race? Not one community member has come up to us and asked us about that. So I guess, in large, a lot of them just don't care, don't know enough. But it was a lot of work, Jamie, to get all the sponsors, to get everything together for that day, to get the licensing, the insurance, the porta potties. and the porta potty company, Johnny on the Spot from High Falls, they called us, Rosendale. Okay, and they called us and said, "Hey, we love what you guys are doing." They're the only ones that reached out to us. We love what you guys do in Ellenville. We love what you and Jamie are doing, and they go, "We will donate this year's porta potties for the race. Donate them." And there's usually a couple $100 each. You get 3 of them. We will donate the money. I'm sorry, the porta potties, so you guys can save the money. And we're like, "Oh wow, sorry, we're not doing the event this year." And then they go, "Okay, whatever event you want to comp on." Community event that you guys are doing that you want to comp on for porta potties, we'll comp you. Just let us know when it's coming up. And so thank you to Johnny on the Spot. Great people out there. We've been using them for years. So yeah, folks, I got to get going. I got to get my to-do list here for all of our team members to go. I usually 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock on Mondays, I send out lists to everybody of what's going on for the week, including the Airbnb property, which we're doing a lot of work up there. The pool was dug up the other day, and the frame is in, and the concrete people came, and they're working away up there. So we got some more landscaping to do up there and some things to do up at the Airbnb. So usually by 8 o'clock, I have lists going out. Our Google spreadsheet task trackers updated for the VAs, the 2 VAs to do work. Courtney has her list. I have my list and all that. I'm a little behind today. Like I said, I was an hour late getting into my office this morning. So, folks, thank you for your support. Really, really thank you for your support, Jamie, and I really appreciate it. That's it. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And tonight's beer dinner. 4 beers and a dish for $29. 4 beers and a dish for $29. These aren't just any beers. These are rare craft beers. They're not craft beers. They're rare craft beers. Beer that you cannot walk into the store and pick up and buy and find. Beers that are past vintages, that are barrel aged, that are super rare to begin with, that are just like, oh wow, like to begin with, are like, if you had a new one of these, you're like, wow, this is a great beer. Now they're being aged because they have high alcohol, they're barrel aged. Rare, 4 rare beers. And then we are serving it with a mussel dish tonight, a beautiful mussel dish that my friend Angelo makes at his restaurant in Newton, Connecticut. His restaurant is Sally Pepe, an Italian place. He makes these amazing creamy blue cheese mussels that are to die for. So we're going to do that dish tonight. Cheese goes great with beer. All cheese and all beer go great together. It's one of those things that beer and cheese, wine and cheese too, but wine and cheese, you can have the wrong combination and make it a disaster. If you goat cheese with Riesling, your palate's like way, way off. So even with cheese and wine, you have to understand the pairings. Beer and cheese is much easier to pair, much easier to pair, and have a good experience. All right, folks, that's it. Have a great day. And Jamie will be on later doing her cocktail live at 4 o'clock, 4-ish. And soon we're going to have a website page where everything's categorized, cataloged, put up there so you can go back and see all of her. I don't even know what episode she's on. She's like episode 240 or something. So she's been rocking and rolling since the pandemic began last year and doing her lives. So everybody, thank you for that support as well. And we'll talk to everybody later. Have a great day.